I'm Mike Conte. I'm with Coinweb. Wanted to sort of have a big picture conversation about blockchain, where we are, where we need to go. I'll tell you a little bit about what we're up to and what the future holds. So I think the big question for everybody here for blockchain is, are we there yet? You know, we've been talking about it and using it for 10 years, but where are we? So I'll answer that with a question, which is it's a bit of an eye test, but if you see the market share sliver up at the top, anybody want to guess what that is? If you guess the number of people who own ferrets, you are correct. It also happens to be the market share of crypto wallets. In other words, very, very small. This is not mainstream. Now, of course, there's been other good examples of sort of powerful technologies that languished for a while, used by sort of a technical audience, and that eventually took off. Personal computers, the internet itself, smartphones, and they all had sort of a similar pattern. They were too hard to use, they weren't very well connected, so they weren't that useful. And then at some point, we all collectively solved that problem. In the case of Apple or Microsoft or Google, they solved these problems, and they became mainstream, and we all take them for granted today. So that's our mission. We want to make the blockchain mainstream. That's something which obviously helps everyone in the blockchain space, and we want to usher that in. So what is it that we actually want to do? Well, one of the problems we need to solve is this. This is a hash address, and anybody who's used crypto has seen one of these before. It's not very friendly. You're not going to be able to remember it, but that's what you get. It might represent a coin or a wallet or a person or a business. And given that people can't remember them and they can't recognize them, they lose them, they put them in an insecure place, and it doesn't give people trust. When you're sending an email to somebody, you can tell immediately, this is going to the right person. I know them by name. If you're sending somebody coins and this is what represents them, it's not exactly a warm, fuzzy feeling. So let's make this more personal. Second problem is we've got lots of innovation in blockchain, which is actually a great thing. I've heard about 6 new blockchain startups here at Fintech. People are doing new things, special blockchains which are very fast, or for charity, or for betting or events. That's all great, but many of these blockchains are disconnected. So it's almost like the early days of email. You need different accounts on different blockchains, and you can't easily move between them or create solutions which knits them together. So this is another problem we'd like to solve. We'd like to make these more connected. And that leads to the 2 key areas where we're working and what we're building. The first is names that you can read, and the second is something we call the hyperlayer, which connects these blockchains. Names you can read it's very simple, and it's a lot of what it sounds like. There's a lot of kind of complicated machinery to make it possible. But instead of that hash address that you can't remember, you get a name. And this is a name that you could recognize as a friend. You could each get your own name. Your business could have a name. And this becomes now a way that we can exchange, just as we do with email and just as we do on the web. And as a matter of fact, it's powered by something we call the CNS. And the CNS is a lot like the DNS. You all use the DNS every day. You may not realize that you do, but if you use email or use the web, I'm sure you all do, that's all powered by the DNS. DNS was invented by a good friend of mine, Paul Macapetris, way back in the early days, which made the internet possible, and Paul's on our team, and he's helping us build the CNS. So this is a key piece that we're investing in and we think moves us all forward. The second is the hyperlayer. Hyperlayer essentially sits above multiple blockchains, connects to those blockchains, and makes a bunch of new scenarios possible. So it becomes much easier to sort of exchange tokens or coins between them. You can even create smart contracts which span blockchains. So you might have 2 different blockchains involved, one that's very fast and one that's very cheap, or vice versa. But it also means you have one wallet. So one simple, easy-to-use wallet, one place to log in, one place to keep all of your coins and all of your tokens, instead of having multiple things, multiple passwords that you're going to get confused, you're going to lose. Now, great technology is important, but I've been on the early days of applications. I led the Excel and Office teams for Microsoft. I was early days of digital entertainment. All of these technologies are great, but you have to have lots of ways to get them to scale. Obviously, we'll do a lot of direct outreach around these things, both to consumers and to developers, but we also have very strategic investment in our 360 accelerator. So the 360 accelerator is a way that we can help businesses, existing businesses that want to create a blockchain solution. They want to reach their customers or build a new revenue stream. They don't want to have to build all the technology themselves, and they would like to kind of partner with somebody who's an expert in the space, and that's us. They'll connect with us through the 360 Accelerator. For a few of them, we will seed fund them. And when they go to market and they take advantage of things like the names and the hyperlayer and issue their tokens and use our wallet, not only do they get a win, but that helps us. That helps us get up to scale, and you start to see those good network effects kind of kick in and solve issues like volatility and liquidity and trust. Our business model, people sometimes ask, like, what do you, so I get the concept, tell me exactly what you do, so here's exactly what we do. We have a business where we make money because we process transactions for which we earn fees, and we also run the namespace, and just like people register websites today, we'll license the names for them. We are built as a private company. There have been a lot of really interesting experiments in the blockchain space, but sometimes these experiments, the founders leave or they wander off because they aren't really ongoing concerns. They weren't built to be long-term businesses. This is built to be a long-term business, a long-term foundation, and that's why we've constructed the way we have. We do have a great team. Come by and see our booth. Many of us are here. Toby, our CEO, is here. Me, Lexi, Marina. Knut, our chief scientist, is here. I think he's in the audience. So bug us with questions. Come see us at the after party. Paul is not here, but he's got the Hawaiian shirt on because he's actually on the West Coast right now, on a beach, no doubt. But we have a great team. Our team has a track record of shipping products, running global businesses. We've built things like the CNS. We've built things like billion-dollar application businesses, and so this is a great hard problem, and we'd love to be able to solve it. Let's not worry about the details of the slide too much, other than we've already built the code. It's in testing now. We'll have a public release in the fall, and we'll have regular releases going out through the end of this year and in 2019. You can, of course, find out more about what we're up to on our website and with our white paper. So as I said in the beginning, I really believe strongly it's time to make the blockchain mainstream. This is something that sort of makes it a real platform, makes it something where we all share the success, and that is the greatest definition of a platform. We think we have a unique approach. We think we have a great team. We're excited about what we're doing, and we want to make the blockchain more personal and more connected. So that's what we're up to. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I think we have time for questions if we want.
We do have time for questions, so we'll bring the Slido up, and we've got a mic, so we'll see if there's any from the audience as well. There's one on the Slido, if you just look down the front there.
Question, why did you choose to use this?
Oh, that's left over from the last people. That's not your question. Any questions from the floor?
You can also catch us on the break too, because, yeah.
Is this for you? Is your interchange operability solution live or in development? I'm just making sure we've got the right questions.
It is live and in development. It's currently in testing, so it's being tested internally by our team. If you're an interested developer, we could probably hook you up with a test account, and it'll be public in the fall.
Okay,
So
we've got one.
My question is, isn't blockchain built on the internet?
The blockchain definitely uses the internet, so in some sense it is built on the internet. You know, the protocol exchanges information over TCP/IP and so on. So, yeah.
So will this
and we think in some ways that internet was a very profound platform and enabled a lot of really fascinating and interesting solutions which are still being involved. And blockchain is in very early days of that, and it's also a very profound technology.
Okay. So aren't you using the DNS by yourselves in this project?
Yes, however, right now, so the question is, how's DNS working? Today, everything on the internet, or most things on the internet, use DNS, but DNS, which is the service which turns, the names that we know into the addresses that the computer knows, there's no such thing for blockchain. There have been some attempts to do it within a particular blockchain, so within this blockchain there are names, but those names don't span the blockchain, and more importantly, they don't span between the blockchain and DNS, and so it's a little in the weeds probably for this conversation, but we can chat more about how we're tying our CNS system in with the DNS. So we get all the advantages of the DNS and 40 years of evolution and security, but extend that to the blockchain.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? One just up the back aisle there.
So is the CNS service, is that open source or is that proprietary software that you guys own?
It's open source.
Open source, okay. All right.
Any more questions, or we'll go to a tea break?
Come see us at the party.
Yeah, come see them at the party, and thanks so much, Mike. Appreciated. Thank you. Good on you.